the latest in tech and accessibility. This is Access Tech Live with Stephen Scott and Marc Aflalo.
Welcome back. Now, lots going on this week in tech, of course. I mean, what is new here at Access Tech Live? It's what we talk about, but also there's no shortage of it. And some fun stories in the accessibility tech space, including Humane's new AI pin that Marc mentioned in the headlines. Now, Marc, what do we know about this new AI device?
Well, we know it's been in development for a couple of years now. This is something that first debuted on a TED Talk when the founder, Imran Chaudhry, was on stage talking about the future of AI and how they kind of see AI melting away into just our landscape. And little did we know that he was actually wearing the first prototype of the Humane AI pin. Now, fast forward, the pin has been completely unveiled, so we know what it looks like. So it's roughly, I guess, half the size of a cell phone in terms of the height of it. It's got a row of sensors along the top, and the front is just a touchpad. Now, the row of sensors includes a depth sensor, so it's able to determine what's in front of you in the distance and the shape of things, a camera, there's a microphone, and there's what they call a laser ink projector. So when you hold your hand in front of it, it can project things onto the surface of your hand, and thanks to the depth sensor, you can actually manipulate things, whether it's a menu. So you can tilt your hand left or right or up or down to navigate a menu. Of course, there's audio cues that'll work throughout the entire thing, and that flat surface on the front is a touchpad. So interesting in terms of design. I mean, this is probably the closest we've seen to a Star Trek communicator come to life in terms of connectivity and everything that goes along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such an interesting design as well. This is not something you carry around with you. This is something you wear. And I'd be interested to see what you think about this, because I've got my views when it comes to the accessibility and the disability angle, and we'll come to all that. But I'm interested from your perspective. Is this something you would want to have, considering all the other tech that's available to you right now?
Well, I remember I had a couple conversations with people about this, and we were debating exactly that. Obviously, the inquisitive mind that I have, I definitely need to try this. It's priced at $700 US and only available in the US to start, and it's going to ship in early 2024. So, I will order it to somewhere in the US and give it a try. It needs a data plan, so that's something else to consider, $25 a month, which is kind of interesting. In terms of the passive AI at my disposal, it is kind of cool. Like if it's constantly monitoring things around me, and I can just summon things and it could learn about me. The examples that they gave when they were demonstrating this was holding, for example, a chocolate bar out in front of it saying, "Can I eat this?" It didn't have to say, use the camera to see what I'm talking about. It didn't have to really ask many questions. It was able to determine, okay, this is a Milky Way. And because it knows that the user at that point in time was lactose intolerant, it actually recommended not consuming it for that reason. So these kind of small things are what excite me about technology like this. But the proof is in the pudding, because there's a lot of people I talk to that say this is pointless. What am I going to do? Stick this on me when I can keep my phone in my pocket, or my smartphone's on my wrist? Why can't I just do it with my smartwatch? Sorry. So yeah, a lot of questions, but I definitely do see the accessibility side here, and the debate online has been kind of raging in both directions, I think, right?
It has. I mean, on a personal level, I think this is going to be huge for accessibility. Again, we haven't heard much from Humane on this, and that's what's stemmed a lot of the interesting conversation online. But I think, what I love about the design of this and the way that it's focused is that it's a very simple screenless design. It does have a touch element to it, but I could see this, for example, connecting to a Bluetooth keyboard or a Braille display if you're a blind user, and being able to get the information audibly onto Braille. That would be a really cool way to use this. I mean, we can already do that with all of our existing smartphones and computers, so it wouldn't be a huge leap to get to that level. So, in terms of accessibility, I can see how it could work for us. But I think in order to look at the functionality, I think what you have to look at is what is going on in the AI space. And I watched a video on X last night I thought was really interesting. And it was a kind of a joke in a way. It was someone who used the voice of David Attenborough, who'd managed to get all the audio of David Attenborough into an AI, and was having David Attenborough narrate their life. Now, it was working by AI taking a picture of them every 5 seconds and narrating that person's existence. So saying, here we are, here's a Homo sapien sitting, drinking, allowing himself to have a drink of water, whatever it was. But it kind of told me the potential that AI has for audio describing things. Imagine it could audio describe a movie as I'm going along and I'm no longer reliant on an audio describer. How cool would that be? So lots of potential, but you're really looking into the individual examples of what people are creating using these wonderful OpenAI, for example, tools. I mean, there's Google and there's also other projects as well Microsoft will talk about. But, you know, while the launch itself has created a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of concern among the community, in particular the disability community. And critics are pointing out that the company's failure to address the device's accessibility for disabled people reflects an oversight towards a significant demographic of the population, which numbers approximately 1 billion people globally. Now, one voice in particular is that of the CEO of Numa Solutions, Mike Calvo. Now, in an exclusive conversation that is coming up on Double Tap, airing Friday 17th November on AMI Audio and on podcast, Mike, who's totally blind himself, says he was personally hurt by the lack of any mention of disability or accessibility.
As a child of the 80s, it brings me back to the words of one Alanis Morissette, and that is, isn't it ironic? You know, this company that calls itself Humane, and last time I checked, I am a human, and I am a human with green dollars to spend on their humane product. Yet I was not included in any, not even the merest of just kind of declarations of, hey, blind people, we didn't have the time or the energy or the desire to put you front and center here, but if you want to know what we do for blind people, go to our website, which is totally inaccessible, by the way. Dude, it's 2023. What the hell? It's 2023, and read the room, bro. Where are we? Who are you talking to? What have you done in your past? It's like me coming out with a product tomorrow and making and knowing and just totally turning my back on our community and nothing when I've dedicated the last almost 3 decades of my life to doing accessibility.
And there's more of that conversation on the Double Tap podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, good or bad. Also, it is broadcast live on AMI Audio every day from 12 noon Eastern and evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern as well. Marc, a really interesting perspective, though, on this product.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? I think that we're going to get some answers from Humane. I know you reached out, I reached out, and we got some positive feedback in terms of talking to us. So hopefully we'll be able to ask those hard questions and find out why it was omitted in the first place. But let's see what they envision this to be in accessibility, because I think there is so much potential, and we will find out. Speaking of potential, I wonder how this will work for fitness. And speaking of fitness, guess what? How did Apple Fitness Plus come to be? We're going to ask Apple's Vice President of Fitness Technologies next here on Access Tech Live. Stick around.
We want to hear from you. Follow us on social media and get involved at Access Tech Live. We'll be right back.